What up, though, and welcome to the Living Noir podcast. I'm your host, Delaney. I'm a serial entrepreneur residing on the south side of Chicago, and I'm currently on the journey to retire my 9-to-5 job and become my wildest manifestations. The Living Noir podcast was created to share all of my wins, the lessons, not the losses, and everything in between. It's basically my journal. And my goal is to connect, empower, and inspire individuals to become their wildest positive manifestations by creating positive examples of determining self-worth, normalizing and advancing the conversation of mental health and generational wealth amongst the Black and Brown communities, and most importantly, creating and fueling our passions and hobbies to become foundations for our future success. So break bread with me as we all go on this journey together. And it all starts with taking the first step, and my step starts right now. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Living Noir podcast with me, Delaney, your host, and I'm glad you guys are back with me for another episode. I got a bunch of good stuff this week, as I do every week, because I got nothing but good over here, of course. But this one, I'm going to be talking about my first month on the Turo car sharing platform. Last week, I talked about my first trip. This week, I'm going to be kind of going over a little bit more about what I did for that first month regarding the steps that I learned, or steps that I took, lessons I learned, information that I picked up, and I'll give you a little bit about, how I did for that month as well. So, and then I also I'll start off actually before we get into my first month. I want to go over a strategy that I've used or that I've incorporated regarding just trying to stay well-rounded in attacking my goals. So I've implemented what's called the 5 B's of goal setting and accomplishing goals. So I'll go into that. And then I want to wrap up the episode, of course, with the audiobook of the week. It's an oldie but a goodie this week, so I'm, really excited about sharing that with you guys. But again, since we got so much that we need to get into, I want to go ahead and get started with it. But before we do that, like I said, man, it's time. It's time for those ads. So I'm going to go ahead and hit you with these ads. And when we get back, I'm going to go into the 5 B's of setting and accomplishing goals. And we're going to hit you off right about now. Today's episode is being brought to you by Crazy J's Kitchen. This is for all my Detroit family out there. Next time lunchtime rolls around and you're swamped at work, just order up Crazy J's Kitchen and get the best burrito tacos in the city. Make sure you follow them on Instagram for all the menu updates and store updates as well. That's Crazy J's Kitchen on Instagram. CrazyJays Kitchen. KITCHEN. Make sure you show your support and tell them Delaney sent you. Does your living room seem a little bit drab? Are you looking to brighten up the room and make it a little bit more exciting and vibrant? Do yourself a favor and get yourself some wonderful one-of-one custom acrylic pouring pieces from pothosandpatterns.com. Love a Mother is a artist that has perfected this painting style method and has created beautiful pieces such as Hallelujah and Gas Me Up. You can check out these pieces and all of her incredible artwork on pothosandpatterns.com. That's POTHOSANDPATTERNS.com. Make sure you let her know that Delaney sent you because, again, like I said, these ads aren't paid, but they're always helping. Anyway, back to the show. A few years ago, I met up with an acquaintance, and he was supposed to be like one of those. I met him through school, and he was supposed to be like one of those like mentors for for groups for people of color through the university. He was kind of cool. Just was really surface level at times, but he did give me some good information and good tips. And one of those tips was incorporating and figuring out how to properly set goals and accomplish them. And he gave me 4 categories to improve on, but I added one for myself. And I've now named it the 5 B's of setting and accomplishing goals. So there's 5 areas, and I'm going to cover each one of them. But we're going to use each one of these B's and set quarterly, monthly, and daily goals for each one of these categories. And it should help to improve, how you do things on a daily basis, how you accomplish what you set out to do personally, professionally, for whatever, you know what I mean? So, uh, we're going to go ahead and get started with it. And I'll start with the first B here, which is business. Business, of course, it applies to you. This doesn't necessarily just mean like just for business people or for entrepreneurs. No, this is for everyone. This is for you if you have your career job or your dream job or whatever. That's your business. That's how you move. That's how you operate. So we always want to make sure that we can always strive to learn a new skill set that's going to help you with, just providing more value to what you do, providing more value to the company or your company, whatever. You always want to try to improve. So by creating and setting a business daily, monthly, quarterly goal, you can always be certain that you're taking the time to improve on this, but even by just hitting like the small goals. So an example for this is basically, let's say for instance, for your business, you find yourself where you're working with a lot of people who speak Spanish. I don't know, maybe, for instance, for me, I'm learning a lot in real estate that, if you're on job sites, there are a lot of subcontractors who are Hispanic. You may need to have, they have laborers who they work with. You may want to have at least an understanding of the language, so you can at least translate it loosely or whatever. You want to try that. So I put here basically setting a goal to pick up a new language, pick up Spanish, right? So there's a couple ways you can do that. You can do that by setting your daily goal of completing one Duolingo lesson, right? So that Duolingo, if you're not familiar, it's an app that you can download, and it gives you like free introductory lessons on a new language. I think there are other languages you can do. I know that it's most popular for Spanish. But yeah, you can download the app, and you can, it does daily lessons just about introductory, Spanish. And it keeps you on track of doing it daily. Following up with that, monthly tasks, you can recite and write a paragraph in Spanish specified with a new verb conjugation. So basically, like, I don't know, let's say the verb that you're learning for this month is to run, right? So you want to incorporate maybe just doing the sentence every week or something like that, but you're learning every week, you're writing it down and you're saying it out loud, but you just set that to do every Sunday, right? Every Sunday, 4 times a week, which basically, at the end of the week, you take those 4 sentences, complete a paragraph, keep reciting the paragraph, and it kind of grows from there. And then your quarterly task would be to watch a 30-minute YouTube video or YouTube tutorial in full Spanish, right? Simple enough, but something that you can measure and you can do at least over the quarter of, the first quarter. And it's aligned with the task of completing, your ultimate goal, which is learning another language, which is Spanish. Not to say that at the end of that first quarter, of course, you're going to be a master in learning Spanish, but it's a step in the right direction. And as we talked about on other episodes, it's all about creating routines. Once you start to feel as if you're accomplishing those routines, it's just like an endorphin starts to go off where it's like you want to keep going. So for business, just try that out, and keep going from there. But next thing, of course, and I talked about this one before, the second B is body, right? So it's true that what they say though, the body is definitely the temple, and I'm in the middle of like renovating. You feel me? So anyway, no, but for real, health is wealth, man. Like, you got to take care of your body because you only get one, right? You only get one, and you want to make sure that you're doing the best that you can in order to take care of it. So what you can do for this, for a daily, monthly, and quarterly goal, going back to just being active for 30 minutes a day, that's your daily goal. You know what I'm saying? Walk around the block. Do a hit exercise for 15 minutes twice a day. You know what I'm saying? That's 30 minutes. Boom. Knock that out. Your monthly goal doesn't just have to be exercise, but your monthly goal is to incorporate 2 cheat meals per month. So that means that you work on a diet. What you're not going to be eating for this month, you're cut out on fried foods, or you only have it 2 times a month. Give yourself 2 cheat meals a month, right? And then set a quarterly goal. Let's say you want to lose 5 pounds, or you want to lose 5% body fat within the next quarter. So you have to measure out and plan how you want to actually do that. Of course, just 5 pounds in a quarter seems easy enough. It probably is. However, more so about reducing that fat, turning it into muscle, and being able to measure your success after that. So, you know, like I said, you want to just make sure that you are planning both for exercise and what you eat, because it's not just about the workout. It's about how you manage your diet as well. Not to say like a diet, a temporary fix, but take the small steps to incorporate a long-term lifestyle, right? So basically, business, body, those are the first 2. Number 3, being. And that's being, like your physical being, your being. Your being is your mental stability. So of course that's important, right? And everybody's dealing with life, and it stresses us all out. So it's important that we all take time to ensure that we're creating time for ourselves to try to keep ourselves calm and keep ourselves centered. So how I like to do that, or I like to try and incorporate with these daily, monthly, and quarterly routines, I set a daily goal of actually practicing deep breathing for 5 minutes a day. I'll try to do 5 minutes in the morning, and then 5 minutes before I go to bed. Apple Watch users, you should know that there's a mindfulness mindfulness app on the Apple Watch that you can use, and it's kind of helpful because it helps you with pacing yourself on your breaths too. If you're trying to get into a rhythm on breathing, you want to get up to that point, it's a great feature on the Apple Watch that you can use, mindfulness. Or you can just do a 5-minute timer, basically, and just focus on breathing. When your mind starts to think about anything outside of that, accept the thought, come back to breathing, and then just do that for 5 minutes and just see how you feel, right? From there, your monthly goal, treat yourself, right? Treat yourself. I know we all got bills. We all got stuff that we got to take care of. We all have to make sure we got our responsibilities in order. But we also have to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves as well and treating ourselves. We work hard, yo. We really work hard. I know I work hard, right? So treat yourself to buy yourself something that you've always wanted, but just said that okay, I'll get that the next time I get paid, or I'll do actually do it. Give yourself a monetary value, right? For that month. All right, so I'm gonna save $50 this month so I can buy myself this new pair of jeans or whatever. It doesn't really matter. Just do it for yourself, because guess what? You're gonna take that same $50 and blow it on food, blow it on drinking, blow it on weed, blow it on whatever. So you might as well just go ahead and do it and put it towards something that you actually can look at and be like, you know what? I'm going to treat myself to this. It'll do wonders for you. And then a quarterly goal, catch up with your friends, man. Plan, especially with COVID, it's always put a weird thing in the air of damn, do I want to go out? Do I want to have these people over? Do I want to how is this going to work? There's always going to be that anxiety thing, but you can definitely put together a virtual event if you feel comfortable with doing that. You know what I mean? Or just catching up with a friend you haven't talked to in a while over the phone. I got a laundry list of people that I need to do that with. You know what I'm saying? So I'm speaking for myself. But that's definitely something that you can do, and you'll feel much better about that, because more than likely you've been thinking about that person anyway. So it's kind of been in the back of your mind, kind of nagging at you a little bit, maybe I should reach out to this person. So write it down. Set a quarterly goal of taking care of that. You're just reaching out and just catching up. You know what I mean? You'll feel better after you've done it anyway. Y'all, I'm really trying my damnedest to not say this, but it kind of fits here, right? I mean, you do only live once. Oh my God. You do. You only live once, right? And you don't make it out alive. Nobody makes it out alive. So you have to make sure that you're taking care of your mental being, right? So you have to, you know, work on these small things to try to help you with staying present. So try it out. So we got business, we have body, we have being. And number three, I'm sorry, what is it? Business, body, being. Number four is your brand, right? Now, your brand is basically like it's the image. I describe it as like the image and the soul of what you and your business looks like, right? So every day we're learning in the social media era that like your brand, like you are your brand, and advertisers are based, like you get advertisers based on the eyes that you are able to command. So put some thought behind how you can improve daily on your brand, right? Even if you're not in the social media, it's still, first impressions are the best impressions, right? So you want to make sure that like if you're taking care of yourself, and that could work in any way, right? Like, I don't know, you can do a daily task of ironing your clothes. I don't know, you want to make sure you're presentable. If you don't normally iron your clothes, set a daily task of doing that. Or if you are trying to get your brand together for social media, plan a daily task to create a post to write about, a post topic to write about, right? Your monthly goal, you can then take that and do that, take that post and post 4 times a month just to get comfortable with it, just to build a routine. And then quarterly, find a topic that you're passionate about, go on IG Live and talk about it for 10, 15 minutes. Even if you're talking to yourself, like starting out, you're going to be talking to yourself anyway. So just do it and record it, right? Over time, as you continue to build on it, you'll start to see more people in those lives. You know what I'm saying? You'll start to see more people in those comments. You'll start to get more likes. Like, it's all about just creating that repetition. It's all about building your brand, man. That's important. So we got body, business, being, brand. And then the fifth one, balancing. Balance. Balancing relationships is so difficult, okay? And I'm not talking about like just the relationships that you are in with your spouses. No, I'm talking about relationships with your family, relationships with your friends, relationships with your coworkers, relationships all around, relationships with your dog, your children, your whomever. It does not matter. Like, relationships are important, and balancing them is even more important, right? So here, what you want to do is just really focus on like how you can do that and be well-rounded with everyone in your life. So I did this from, the example I have for the daily, monthly, and quarterly is something that I want to incorporate for myself with all of my relationships. So for my daily goal, I set to look into your partner's eyes for 1 minute, right? So literally set a 60-second timer, right? Take a second. It could be at the beginning of the day, at the end of the day, and just actually just looking into her eyes, and it really is uncomfortable at first. It really is. Sometimes it's, I guess it's just a constant like staring, but it's important, you know what I mean? Because it's actually taking a moment to just be present with that person. And my wife and I have been together for a very long time. So it's like, it's a good reset to be present with each other. So that's a daily goal. Monthly goal, going back to the last goal, the last B, but setting out a monthly goal of reaching out to a person that I haven't talked to or heard from, but they've been on my mind, right? And then the quarterly goal is, again, trying to coordinate a group event for the family, virtually or in person, a video call, whatever, just to get them together. You know what I mean? So all of those are relationships. Those are relationships with my friends and family, so that's kind of important. But again, just to kind of recap and go over, what we talked about, the 5 B's: business, body, being, brand, balance. So hopefully you can use this as a tool or a guide that's going to help you with staying motivated to, accomplish your personal goals and see how they actually take off, right? So let me know if you think that the strategy helps. You can leave comments, of course, like that, but I'm really interested to see how you actually impact, how you try to implement that and see if it does work for you. But yeah, all right, cool. So we got the 5 B's out of the way, and now we are here for the meat and the potatoes, right? So in this, I'm gonna go over the five. I'm sorry, excuse me, not five. I just did that. I'm gonna go over my first month on the Turo platform, right? So I'll catch you right up from where we left off last week, right? So last week I talked about how I started it, why I started it. I was working from home. I got a 2017 Jeep Cherokee. Came, by the way, as the name of a red truck. I love that car. And I just, I talked about, my first trip with the young lady who had the car. I left my iPad in the car, if you happen to remember all of that. But so I want to go over a little bit more in depth of what happened for the remainder of the month and what I learned. So the first month was May of 2021. I had 4 trips, total of 17 days, and I think I made close to about $1,000. And I probably would have made more or had more trips if it wasn't for my last trip. And I'll get to that a little bit later. So, uh, as I mentioned, I left my iPad in the car, right? I was like, damn, I left it in the car. But that experience actually helped me out because it left me with a great idea, right? I had already been trying to figure out, okay, so how am I going to actually how am I going to be able to track these vehicles while they're gone? I don't, I could get what is it? Those little kill switches or, put a device on the car, but then I have to worry about putting it in and getting it aftermarket and all that stuff, which I'll still do, right? But I'm like, man, I don't have all of this right now. And then I thought about it, right? Apple came out with these. I don't know if you're familiar with it or not, but it's an AirTag, right? It's called an AirTag, AIRTAG. So it's literally a little circle device, right, that you can use, and I'm sure it's popular for families, for parents who are trying to locate where their kids are. It's a little circular device that you can buy. I got it from Target. I want to say it was probably like 30 or 40 bucks or something like that. But you can take the device, and once you activate it, you can locate where the AirTag is on your phone, right? You can see where its location is. So I was like, you know what I mean? This saves me a lot of time and some comfort because I know where the vehicle is, and all I got to do is pull it up on my phone, put the device in the car, and pull it up on my phone, and I know where the car is. So I would say that if you definitely are looking at, getting into Turo, and you don't have a car that already has a location device on it, get you an AirTag, throw it in a car somewhere, and that'll help clear up a couple of those worries for you. So I would highly recommend doing that, right? So I learned that after the first trip. Also in that first trip, she had smoked in the car, and I had talked about that. So I was able to charge her for the smoke odor in the car, and I had my second trip was coming up maybe like a day or so later. So I really was worried about the smoke odor in the car. So I tried my best. I cleaned the car out as best as possible. I did a hand wash myself. I got into, I was able to scrub like the ceilings, like trying to get the smoke odor out, like wiping down the panels, kind of like around the door edges, just trying to get really into it to try to get the smoke smell out and, do what I can. For the most part, I was able to get it out. And one thing I learned, of course, is after I did all of that, I, of course, put a new air freshener in there. Now, what air freshener did I use, y'all? Yeah, yeah, it was black ice. Of course it was. Of course it was black ice. Duh, it was black ice. So I put black ice in the car, right? And I'm getting the car ready. It's all clean. It's beautiful. It's shiny. It smells great. You know what I'm saying? And I get it ready for the trip. And this trip for this young lady, she actually needed me to deliver the car to her, which was great. That was my first time doing a delivery. That was an additional $70 that I made on just the delivery itself alone. That's outside of the trip. So the trip went well. Everything was great. I think it was just like a 2 to 3 day trip. I went to go pick up the car from her, and she was just like, everything was great. But then this was the moment that I realized that all noses aren't accustomed to certain smells. She was like, yeah, it had a really bad smoke odor smell in it. And I'm like, what? She's like, yeah. And I was like, I had just got it from the previous person. I really tried to clean it out and blah, 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 and all this stuff. She's like, yeah. I was like, how bad is it on a scale of 1 to 10? She's like, yeah, it was close to like an 8. I said, close to an 8. I said, nah, that can't be, because I drove the car up here. Like, I know it wasn't that bad, But then I get in a car, and of course, the first thing that hits my nose is the black ice smell, right? And if you're not accustomed to what black ice smells like, I could see maybe how you would think that it smells like an odor or something like that. So in that moment, I learned, bro, just stick to something simple. Stick to the new car smell, right? Stick to that. Stick to a fruity smell, some tropical, okay? Something that, people can put an actual smell to, and it doesn't smell or remind them of anything else. So, AirTag, new car smell, right? On my third trip, now, on this third trip, this is where I was able to figure out a drop-off location, right? So the drop-off location is basically where the car is housed, where you can pick up the car if you're just picking the car up on Turo and I'm not delivering it to you. So I chose a place that's about 10 to 15 minutes away from me that I can get to. That's pretty quickly in a pinch. And it's not too far away from the house, but it's not my house, of course, right? Now, I live near the Hyde Park neighborhood in Chicago on the south side. So I live near this neighborhood, and I chose this neighborhood to be the location because this neighborhood holds the University of Chicago campus. So, of course, if I put my car as a drop off in that location, my thinking is that with students and their potential need for them to be able to get around the city, this would probably be a good way for me to obtain renters and things like that, because they can search by their area for what cars are being able to be rented. Win-win for me. So this trip, the guy picked up the truck from it's a parking lot location in Hyde Park, so they were able to pick it up from there, right? What I also did on this trip is what I started was a pre-screening method. So whenever Turo notifies me that I have a new trip, what I would do is I would message the guest, and I just send a quick message, usually about like 5 minutes after I get the message from them, and I'd say, hello. I'd say just a script, and I wrote it out. It was basically, it'll say, hello, renter. Thanks for choosing the vehicle for the upcoming rental. I got no problems with approving the rental, but before I do, could you please confirm the information below? It's 2 questions. So number 1, what's the occasion for the rental? And number 2, please confirm that you've read and agreed to the rules and guidelines of the vehicle listed in this vehicle's description. Once confirmed, I'll go ahead and I'll approve the rental. This was really, 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 really crucial to my approval process, to my renters and everything like that. I love adding this. I don't know where I got the idea from. I feel like it was just really something that it was just something that I just thought about just to be, a layer of security for myself. Because it's like, it gives them a way, gives me a way of knowing, like, I have a written confirmation from someone that says, like, yo, they've read my guidelines. They see that it says that it's no eating in here, no drinking outside of bottled water, and of course, no smoking in the car, and it could lead to fines. So it's all written there, and they've agreed to that. So I have that in writing on the Turo platform, number one. Number two, the question regarding the occasion, right? It kind of gives me an idea on what exactly I expect this car to be used for, right? Or where I expect this car to be. Hey, I'm going out of town in Michigan for the weekend, blah, blah, blah. Hey, I'm using this because I'm moving from one location to the other location. Hey, I just need wheels because my car is down for the weekend or whatever. Honestly, it could be any of those things, but it's just it helps me with getting an idea where I would be able to see the car if I needed to, you know what I mean? So pre-screening, tremendous help for my business, tremendous. And usually you'll find that it's not any issue from the renter for them to respond to it, and give me back the information that I'm looking for. But one thing I will say, of course, before I go on, is that you have to stick with it. Like, stick with it. If somebody doesn't respond to you in a timely fashion, doesn't matter. Like, stick with what you set, right? If they don't respond back to you, I tell them, hey, can you let me know? As soon as you can let me know, I'll be able to approve the trip. And I think Turo gives you a certain period of time before you approve the trip, before you cancel it. Like, stick to it. If they don't give you a response back, stick to what you know, man, and somebody else will come. But don't cheat yourself, because the one moment you start to cheat yourself and cheat your process, then that's the one moment where everything gets thrown out of whack, and you've worked really hard to even get to this point. So what you're doing is you're building foundations, and pre-screening is key. I cannot tell you how important that is. You know what I'm saying? So what did I say? Pre-screening, I said new car smell, air tags, and yeah, so that was basically out of those trips. I had my last trip, right? So my last trip in May. Okay. It's a lot, right? It's a lot for this one. So it needs its own episode. That's going to be next week's, right? And it's a ridiculous story. But it's a great story, and I love telling it, actually. So it needs its own episode, right? But I'll get to that one next week for sure. So that way we can, I'll go all over it. But anyway, just to wrap this part up here, for the month of May on the platform, I made, like I said, roughly about $1,000. So, after I paid my car note, I made like $750 or something, like, around that area, which, was cool because it didn't really take a lot of my time at all. Only thing I got paid to deliver the car. I live around the corner from a hand car wash, where, like, the ones where you just go into the bays and you spray it down and you wash it yourself. So literally, like, to go wash the car cost me maybe about $4. You know what I'm saying? So it didn't really take a lot of my time, and it was really simple. So right now I'm getting that feeling of, like, okay, I can do this. I think I can really, like, try to, like, parlay this in a way to, like, actually make some money for me. So yeah, that was really it. I'm really excited about it so far. And I think the next thing is really kind of seeing how it took me from there, which really goes into what happened on my last trip, which I'm really excited to talk about. But again, just for the sake of the episode, I want to give it its own shine, and then that way we can talk about it for sure. So yeah, but let me know what you thought about my first month on Turo. If you like some of the implementation statuses, the strategies. I didn't really, like I said, I didn't really have anything too monumental regarding the renters, right? They were all pretty great. They all gave me 5 stars. Oh, that's one thing that's truly important, especially starting out, is the ratings, right? How can I get this far without mentioning that? It's important. Your rating is important. That's your customer service. You know what I'm saying? Getting back to the guest, trying to, quell any issues they may have, answering questions, providing prompts, making it accessible for them, just making it easier for them. So every guest at this point has given me 5 stars. So that's always a great thing. I always try to make sure that I, leave a review for them. Even if they don't leave a review for me, I just do it anyway and I give them 5 stars because I try to make sure that I'm paying it forward, right? So there's a lot of stuff in here. So let me know what actually helps you, what you thought that, was a good strategy that you may pick up for yourself. Just let me know what you think about it. But before we get out of here, of course, this is now one of my favorite segments of the show, and I know it's kind of early starting out with it, but it's the audiobook of the week. I like the audiobook of the week because it gives me a chance to provide people with a book of something that I really just became more conscious of reading. And when I say reading, it's, I cheat in regards to reading because I use an audiobook. I find that it's a lot more easier for me to do that. I can listen to it while I'm in the shower. I can absorb it. I can, decompress. I can do all that. It just works better for me. So hopefully it may work better for you. And I'm not just trying to, sit down and actually read, or it takes me away from doing something else. I can do this. So this week, the audiobook this week is a really good one. It's an oldie but a goodie, but it's definitely a timeless one, right? And it's just the simple How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. So this is such a great book because it discusses a lot of different strategies when it comes to human behaviors that people use to effectively communicate their needs and their wants, right? I highly, highly, highly recommend that you take a chance and listen to it. And it's free. It's a free audiobook that I found on YouTube, and I'll make sure that I put a link to the description as long as it's still available. But I would think, something like a book like this, because it's been out, and I'm saying this may turn you off a little bit, but this book is from the 30s, like the 1930s, 1940s. It's an older book, but I'm telling you, the gems are timeless, right? So it's on YouTube. I will put a link in the show notes, so that way you can check it out and then let me know what you think about it. But we're done here, guys. That wraps it up for this week's episode of the Living Noir podcast. I already can't wait for next week. So follow me on Instagram at Living Noir, and that's LIVINGN0IR. And make sure you subscribe to this podcast on your streaming platform so that way you're notified when new episodes are coming out. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, but I want to end each episode moving forward with either a quote or a quote that's something that you may have heard growing up Black, or just a popular, relatable phrase, that's you're used to hearing amongst my people, right? Just something relatable. So for this first week, I'm going to dedicate this to my mother, who I love you so much, Mom. But she, of course, always said to me, rather have it than not need it, than need it and not have it. I love you, Mom. See you guys next week, and make sure you keep moving forward. Peace.